This is a beginner crochet tutorial to make an embroidered coaster. This is a very simple, quick project. You can do a set, you can do them with different colors of embroidered yarn. You can use a variegated yarn that changes color. So it's a quick and easy gift. I am using single crochet, that's US terms. In the UK, that's called double crochet, which has a different meaning in the US. So whenever I'm saying single crochet, if you're used to UK terms, mentally substitute double crochet. I'm going to begin with a series of 12 chain stitches, and that's what I will be working off of to form the rows of this coaster as it grows. So we're going to start with a slip knot to anchor it to our hook. I'm using RN weight yarn, that's heavy worsted weight. This is just a crafting cotton by Paintbox Yarns. You can go to a big box crafting store and find like Lily Sugar and Cream. At Walmart it's called Peaches and Cream. And you can also use a different fiber. If you use acrylic, it's not going to be absorbent, which is not so great for a coaster. This one is 100% wool. This is Kelburn Woolen's Germantown yarn, which is US sheep, US manufactured yarn. Acrylic will work, but it's not as desirable when you're going to be working, you know, with coasters, hot pads, anything that has heat or moisture. The acrylic is not so great for it. So the first thing that we're going to do is anchor the yarn to the hook. And so to do that, we're going to create a slip knot. Begin by leaving yourself a 4-inch, about a 10-centimeter tail, so that you're not starting right down here near the tail of your yarn. You'll end up with the first few stitches starting to pull themselves apart if you don't give yourself a little bit more to work with. So give yourself that 4 inches, make a U shape, and then give it a half twist. So now you've got a loop. Now pass that loop over your working yarn that's coming off of your ball of yarn. Just fold that right over. And so now your working yarn is behind this circle. So take your hook. We're going to pass it over the circle and under the working yarn. Just like that. So snug that up and you've got your slip knot on your hook. I'll do that one more time. I am using the Clover Soft Touch hook. It has a paddle style handle, which I find comfortable for the knife grip that I hold my crochet hook in. Some people have a pencil style grip, and a lot of times they prefer a more rounded handle, so the Amore hooks are very popular. This one has a really, really smooth finish on the metal. I really enjoy it. So to begin, we're going to do 12 chain stitches. So we're going to pass the yarn from back to front, and don't pull really tight. You want to form nice even stitches, and you don't want them so tight that they cinch in and pucker up your whole project because your original row was too snug. As you work onward, the single crochet stitches are going to have a lot of stretch to them. This chain row is not, which means that you need to start it a little bit looser than you're going to be working your stitches later on, because this one isn't going to give you really any flex, especially in the cotton. The cotton does not stretch. Acrylic and wool have some bounce and elasticity to them that cotton does not have. So you're going to pass that yarn over back to front, snag it with your hook and pull it through. You have now formed your first chain stitch. This little knot down here at the bottom doesn't count, and the loop on your hook does not count. If you're a knitter, you are used to counting the live stitches on your needle as worked stitches. They count as a row. In crochet, that is not a stitch, not yet. We have not worked it. So we have one stitch. We're going to do 11 more for a total of 12. So that's 1, 2, move my hand here, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay, now we're beginning to work our next row here. Crochet stitches have height to them, and you have got to get your working yarn up to the correct height for each row. If you're working really tall stitches, you have to work several chain stitches to get up to that height. We are working a very short stitch. This is the single crochet stitch, so we're just going to work one chain stitch at the beginning of each row to get up to the correct height. We're also going to be working our stitches off of the back side of this chain right here, because if we work off the top of it, then the edge of our coaster is going to have this little series of bumps right there. And we do not like that. It doesn't look symmetrical with the top, which is going to have this same series of V's across it. So we're going to work into these back bumps right here, leaving these tidy little flat V's exposed on the edge of the coaster. So the first thing that we're going to do is work one chain stitch to get ourselves up to the height that we need, and then we will be working our first single crochet into this bump right here in front of my thumbnail. So I'm going to pull that yarn over, draw up a loop right there, that's a chain stitch. We're now at the right height to begin our next row. I'm going to insert my hook into this bump right here, and this is where cotton gets a little bit tricky also because it likes to split. As opposed to the wool or acrylic, the cotton's going to be very splitty. So don't get frustrated if that happens. Right here, I have come in between my plies. I've lost one here. I'm just going to work it right over, and I've got it. All right, so we've now got our hook inserted. We're going to draw up a loop, just like when we were doing the chain stitch, but this time we're pulling it through that previous stitch from the previous row. Now we've got two loops on our hook. One more time, pass the yarn over, pull it through. That's your single crochet stitch. And here it is on the top right here, another V. We've got one stitch. Okay, now we're going to continue across in the same way. Insert the hook, pass the yarn over, draw up a loop. One more time, close that stitch. You've got two stitches. So we're going to work our way all the way across. When we get to the end, we're going to turn and start back again. I'll meet you there. Okay, so I have worked across the row and ended with 12 stitches, and you can start to see the stitch anatomy here. The front side of the stitches, you're going to have a post, which in the single crochet is formed of a little V shape, and then this chain sitting on top of it. So each stitch has got the post, and that is going to vary depending on what kind of stitch you've done, what that looks and how tall it is. And it's going to be closed with a chain stitch, which is going to form the top of the following stitch. And so this stitch right here, the post between my thumbnails, is part of this stitch here on the top. And now you can see where the chain row that we started with looks like the top of a row of crochet. The back side, because we're going to flip over and work back across the way that we came, the back side looks a little different. You've got this bump right here, and the stitch is spreading out. It's an inverted V. So the first thing that we want to do is work another chain stitch to get us up to the correct height to work a row of single crochet. And now we're going to insert our hook into the top of that last stitch in the previous row. So we just put it right through, pull up a loop. Now we've got two on our hook, and yarn over and pull it through. To close that stitch, we have now formed our first stitch of the new row, and we're going to go all the way across. And we're going to do that a total of 13 times, so we've done it once already. We're now working row 2, and then we will do 11 more rows after that. So I'll take you through the next few stitches and then leave you to complete this coaster, and then we will get back together again for the embroidery. I'm working 2 into the same spot. Did you see that? There's our first mistake. If you stick your hook back in there again, what you've done is worked an increase. And if you count your stitches, which you should always do, and you have one too many, you can look and see if you accidentally added some at the edge, and then look and see if you've got 2 posts coming like squished, fanning out together like that. That's where you got 1 stitch too many. So I just pull that back out again. Boop. And now I can begin working again in the next stitch. And if you're ever reaching the end of your row and you're not sure if you're supposed to work into what you see or not, you can count your stitches. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and this loop on my hook doesn't count, so we know that we do need to work 1 more stitch. If we don't, we will end up shrinking and our project will be a trapezoid instead of a square. So now I've finished my second row. I'm going to turn, chain 1, and work back again. I will meet you when we have completed 13 rows.